Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Pretty excited. I just got this in from Banggood today. This is the new WLTOYS 184011. This is in the style of the a959, those classic buggies from WLTOYS that were so popular in this 1/18 scale. Really inexpensive little RC buggy. These things are in the $50 range. Ready to run, comes with everything you see here on the table. As you can see here, there is the box. It says it can do 30 kilometers per hour, which we'll have to see. I think it's going to probably get somewhere in that range, and there is that model number there, the 184011. So again, the a959 and the 95B, which had a 550 brush motor, were really popular. The original a959 came out probably at least 5 years ago. And then they came out with the B version, which had the larger motor. This one is like the original a959 that has just a smaller 390 size brushed motor. I wouldn't say this is an upgrade to that. This is probably just something else they decided to make along the line, because I don't really see anything about this that would be considered an upgrade over the original one. Though back when the original one came out, the 959, those could run a little bit more. So this is, if anything, this is a little bit less expensive or more inexpensive. So that might be one of the attractive features of this buggy is its price. There's some other small differences. For instance, the battery, which I'll show you now. This is a 900 milliamp hour lithium ion pack. The original 959s came with a 2S LiPo pack in those. And this uses just one of those 2-pin, almost like we'd see on a nickel cadmium pack or such, though they're similar to a red JST. So I believe you can actually power these off a red JST connector with this plug without having to cut it. But ideally you'd want like a Dean's plug, which I think the 959s came with a Dean's plug. I don't have my 959 anymore, so that's why I'm a little iffy on some of the details, because that was so many years ago that I got that 959B buggy. The charger is your typical type for WLTOYS. This little it charges off the balance plug, since this one obviously is not going to be one you're going to be able to. You could possibly charge it off of a red JST in your hobby grade charger on this little one, but it doesn't have a standard plug, is what I'm getting at. So you use this little guy if you want to. This is a USB, and then it has the red, and I think there's a green light inside this. I know it's a red light for sure. And that will charge off the balance plug on that. And then your instruction manual here, and they give you a screwdriver, because I noticed on the wheels here, and I was trying to, usually they give you like a lug, a 4-way lug wrench or something, but this actually has Phillips screwdrivers, Phillips screws I should say, in the wheels here instead of the nut that you typically would have. So that's one of the reasons they gave you that, because taking the wheels off is one of the most basic things you need to do whenever you're doing a repair or working on the car. Take a real quick look here at the instruction manual if I can get the tape off here. I'm just gonna go through it really quickly, just showing you just real basic stuff here. And a little information with the steering servo there. And then just a little bit of assembly instructions if you need to take this apart and do any repairs. So sort of like an exploded view on some of the pages. Then again, there's that Phillips screwdriver in there. And they give you the traditional WLTOYS controller, which these are pretty good. They got the foam grip, which is always nice. Get your trim here, though this trim dial, I don't think there's any kind of throttle trim here, because this is super loose, like it's non-functional or something. That's weird. That would be, you think they just use the same one that all the others have that actually would have a functional throttle trim. That's bizarre. It just is laying there. So hopefully your car is not going to want to move forward or reverse on you when it's in neutral, because if it does, you're going to be out of luck. But the steering trim seems to be functional by what I feel there. Here's your on and off switch. This little 1, 2, 3, 4 binding, I don't think is anything you need to worry about. And it takes some AA batteries down here. It looks like it takes four AA batteries. This is standard throttle, reverse, and your brake if you tap it. And let's take a closer look at the car. I've already pulled the film. There's some film they put over this. If you want to take that off before you drive it, it's going to make it look a lot shinier. Though I probably didn't take it off the little nose piece here. That's why it looks a little duller than the rest of the car. One thing I noticed is these wheels, on the tires and wheels here in the front, the turnbuckles, there's a lot of play in this. So I'm worried on a crash you could pop a dog bone out of this. Just, I don't recall it. I mean, it just has a ton of play. Again, this is very inexpensive for a ready-to-run kit, so you can't expect everything. And the fact that this is pretty much identical to the 959 body, you're going to be able to find like those parts that you see in the instruction manual. You can buy these parts anywhere, and you'll be able to find a ton of upgraded aluminum parts for this. Just look at the 959 parts. Almost all of them should be compatible. If not, you'd be able to swap it for the slightly different style, and it should be able to fit. That's what I'm getting at. But there's a ton of plastic. Now, the shocks are a bit different here. They are still friction shocks, and it feels like these might be aluminum, but I can't, like an alloy, but so much of this is plastic. Sometimes that plastic is tricky. And so I don't know. I can't tell you when you touch it. I can't tell you for certain if this is a plastic looking or an actual metal. But I'm going to say it's more like a plastic compound, but it could be an actual alloy. Again, anyway, these are friction. The older 959 shocks you could film with oil if they leaked. I don't think these have any ability to do that at all. Either way, you wouldn't want to do that. You'd want to upgrade these to actual oil-filled shocks. But a lot of plastic parts. Again, at this price point, it's sort of to be expected. The dog bones are just plastic here, though the pins that go through on each end of the dog bone are metal. Just a lot of plastic parts on this car. But you know, it's again, that's sort of to be expected. I don't know if it even has ball bearings in it or not, to be honest with you. Again, I can see where I could almost pop that dog bone out. So on a crash, keep that in mind. That's always something that could happen. Let's pull out the body clips here, and we'll take the body off, and you guys can see the components underneath. You got your 390 brush motor, and it does have some passive cooling here. Well, passive, I mean there's not a fan or anything. It's just these big aluminum type fins. The airflow goes through there and moves the heat away, and that's actually pretty efficient. Though with the body on, you're going to get less of that. If you actually had the body off, you'd get better cooling because you have a lot more airflow across that. You have a 5-wire little steering servo there, so you know that's nice. It's just that if you wanted to upgrade this or something or go to brushless, you'd have to replace that steering servo. But if you're going to upgrade to brushless, you're going to do a lot of upgrading to this thing anyway, because this is just going to be plastic gears inside of here, so those will likely strip really quick on brushless, so you'd probably have to go with the metal gears. Again, all that upgrade stuff's available, but you're going to spend way more than this car costs real quick buying all those aluminum parts. You have the ESC receiver combo here, and it looks like it is 60 amp, so that's pretty good. I have no problem handling the 2S lithium ion. Again, you can put a LiPo in here as long as you find one that fits like a red JST to fit on this, or if you want to swap the connectors. And at that point, you know, the LiPo pack might give you a little bit more kick. Now maybe a couple miles per hour increased on the top end on this guy. But that's the receiver and the ESC, and that combination together. There's your bullet connectors there powering the motor. But yeah, just a lot of plastic. It looks like the center drive shaft that goes between the gearboxes is also plastic. So just be mindful that everything on this just about is plastic, but that's sort of to be expected at this price point. But it ought to be pretty fun. Again, it's a little bouncy, but any friction shock car is going to be bouncy like that. So just keep that in mind. You could put a small fortune in these cars and upgrade them. Some people do, and they get really insanely high top speeds. If you want to put the time in, it can be a lot of fun upgrading these. And this ought to be a good one to start out with, just as a basic car, because it's so inexpensive. In that $50 to $60 range, I believe is what it was. And I mean, if you want to get this for a kid or somebody, even without even test driving, it's going to tell you it's going to be fine. Just be mindful that you're going to break parts, but they're readily available. So that's great. And again, it's really, really cheap. So it looks like we've sort of covered all the basics on this. I don't want to make this too long. What we're going to do is get outside. We'll take this for a drive review outside, and then maybe if I get a chance, I'll come back and do another video with the top speed test to see what kind of top speed we get on this. So be right back with that drive review. Okay guys, so let's take this brand new WLTOYS 184011 out for a test drive here. I'm going to drive it around in front of my house today because we had quite a bit of rain yesterday, so it's really wet in the back, so I don't want to get this all in, try to drive it through mud or anything. So that'd be a good idea to get this out here and get kind of an idea on the top speed of this little 390 brushed motor powered buggy. I know my buddy David over at Perth West Oz RC down in Australia, he just reviewed this the day before, and I believe he got a top speed in kilometers per hour, like 27, I think it was around there, 27, 28 on the provided lithium ion pack. That's pretty close to the rated 30, so you know we got to see something around that. That's not bad for this little car, because this thing runs, it's like $55 I think, ready to run. That's a really good price, assuming that it runs well and everything works fine. So we'll take it out now and see how it runs. So let's go ahead and turn the power on. There's a little red button here on the side. You can hear it beep, and then you just take the controller and let's flip the power on, and it should be bound. Let's hope. There we go. Just took it a moment. Yeah, let's take it out here and drive it around. Let's wait for this truck to pass here. It's kind of noisy. Now it's really windy today. After this cool front moves through, today's the first day where it like feels like fall. I guess today is probably like the first or second day of fall. So I'm going to try to stay back some on my garage at times just to try to avoid some of the wind noise. It's really windy today, so we're going to need to, I can already tell on the steering trim, we're going to need to adjust it. It doesn't look like it has a big steering radius, though that will usually change as you start to drive it. I can see it's pulling to the left. Yeah, this is about what I expected. Ought to be pretty similar to the original a959. It's a 390, though that one had a lipo pack, so that one probably had a little bit more punch than the lithium ion, but yeah, it's not bad. I mean, the steering radius isn't great until you get going. Then it's sort of just because you're able to peel out, even though it's four-wheel drive. So that makes up for it where you're able to turn just fine. That's not too bad, especially not for $55. Again, we have just those friction shocks, but they're not, they're a little bouncy, but it seems to be doing the job. These WLTOYS controllers are usually pretty good too. So shouldn't have any real range issues or anything with them. As little as this is, you're not going to be driving this too far away. Get out of sight pretty easily. Let's see how we do here. Whoa! With power, that my front yard, you guys can see there, needs to be mowed. I wanted to see how it does in this taller grass, but it looks like we have kind of topped out, which you're going to tend to do with these little bitty models. They can get topped out, as I call it, on top of grass or objects quite easily just because of the small wheelbase. It just tends to do that. But once you get going, you can see it actually has pretty good power. It's able to just make it through that grass. Whoa! But again, being small, it's going to flip like this and kind of get tossed around a bit. But that's okay. It seems to be pretty, doing pretty good, even though it is almost 100% plastic in most respects. But I gotta say, one thing I was mentioning when I was talking about the batteries, even though this doesn't come with that LiPo pack, the lithium ion packs tend to be, they're much more forgiving about how they're stored in terms of voltage. So a LiPo pack needs to be stored at storage voltage, and you're not going to be using it for more than a week or so. And that is something that a charger that comes with this little USB charger can't do. So you need a hobby grade charger. The lithium ion packs are not nearly as prone to going bad. The lipos will tend to swell. They just go bad. They don't want to run long. If you just let them sit, especially if they sit fully charged. But even if you sit fully discharged, I mean, you want to be at 3.8 to 3.85 volts per cell. The lithium ions is not so picky about that. So what I'm getting at is the fact that they include a lithium ion, even though it has a little bit less punch than the lipo. If you don't, get it down to storage voltage, that's fine. We flipped it again. It's not a big deal, is what I'm saying. So you're going to be able to pick this car up, charge the battery, and the lithium ion pack should be pretty good, at least for several years. So it's not going to be the end of the world. Where the lipos, you let those things sit and you don't put in storage voltage, like I said, they're gonna lots of times go bad pretty quickly. So anyway, that's enough on the batteries. But yeah, I think this looks like around that 27, 28 kilometer per hour. That's probably going to be somewhere in the 15 mile per hour range, I'm guessing. I'm just trying to do a basic sort of conversion in my head. Looks about right. And for what you're getting, this would make a really good ready to run kit for maybe 12, 13-year-old, someone just getting into the hobby. You're not going to spend a lot of money, but you got tons of parts available for this buggy. So you don't have to worry about if something breaks. You can get these even in the US. You can find these parts pretty easily on eBay. Or you can get them from Banggood, who was kind enough to send this out to me for review. So you're going to be able to find parts for this, and you can upgrade this with all those aluminum parts. So if you get this for maybe your son or something, and then he decides he really gets into it and wants to hop this up, well, you're going to be able to find aluminum, all aluminum parts, metal gears. You could go brushless with this thing, and of course get yourself some oil-filled shocks. And you're being in pretty good shape, and it's going to not be cheap. Keep that in mind. You're going to very quickly spend more than this car costs, but a lot of people like doing that, and it is fun to do. So, unlike a lot of these cars that you get from overseas that are lesser known brands, you end up having to, if something breaks, you may have trouble finding a part. That's not going to be the case with this. WLTOYS is pretty big. WLTOYS and XK, their sister brand, which the box says both. That's WLTOYS and XK. Yeah, I like this. This is gonna be perfect for someone just getting in the hobby, or someone looking for an inexpensive RC so they can get parts for and they can hop up if they wish. And the shocks don't do too bad. You can see it, pretty good power. Feels like it's losing a little bit of punch. The lithium ion pack may be starting to run down, but typically these batteries will start to really sag quick, and then they go to the low voltage cutoff. So what I'm getting is I wasn't able to really peel out as easily now. So it's losing a bit of its punch. It's probably going to go dead here shortly. So that ought to wrap up the review, guys, of the WLTOYS 184011. That naming convention they use, the 18 stands for 1/18 scale. WLTOYS does that on all of them. 14 for 14ths, 112 for 12 for 1/12, and then they use 110 for 1/10 scale. So this is our 1/18th, and this is a really popular series. This is considerably less than even the original a959. Those can run, at least the B version with the 550 mode runs up in the $70 to $80 range. So this is a nice beginner car with everything ready to go out of the box. I don't see any reason why someone wouldn't want this if you're looking for something to start out with, or something if you don't have a big budget that's going to get the job done for you. Just be mindful it's not super fast. All right, guys, that wraps up the review of the WLTOYS 184011. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and while you do, click the bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.
The power of the dark side.